Today, in my Kudos kitchen, we're going to be making French onion sloppy joes. Let's do this thing. So, anybody in the mood for a caramelized onion facial? It smells so good. I did start these earlier, probably about 20 minutes ago, because I wanted them to be done, so this wasn't going to take forever, of course. So what I did is I sliced up 2 sweet onions and I put them in the skillet along with some, I used avocado oil, but you can use any light neutral flavored oil. Olive oil is fine too, even though it's really not neutral. But so anyways, I started the onions with butter, probably about 3 tablespoons, some avocado oil, medium-high heat, threw them in the skillet, let them cook, stirred them occasionally until they got a nice, and that's Nellie barking. So Nellie says hello, everybody. Till they got to be a nice caramely, limp, golden brown. Oh, they smell amazing. So the only other thing I was going to do now, because in the recipe I added some fresh thyme to the onions, so I'm going to go ahead and do that and let the thyme kind of steep in the onions for just a little bit while I prepare some of the other ingredients. Probably 3-4 pretty good sized thyme sprigs fresh. If you don't have, I scared Nellie. If you don't have fresh thyme, no problem. Use what you have in your pantry. Kind of just be creative. You can use dried thyme. Don't use as much. Use maybe like a 1/4 teaspoon dried thyme, just to flavor the onions a little bit. You can kind of go wild and use your imagination. If you want dried basil, oregano, I'm sure would work great. Maybe even like, why not caraway seeds? I love caraway seeds. Maybe a little bit of that in there. Coriander. Put some of that in there. Stir that around. Anything that you like, that you think would taste good, I say go for it. There are no rules as far as I'm concerned with cooking. Just have fun and don't be afraid. One other thing I did want to tell you about cooking is I did also season the onions with salt and pepper. No matter what you're cooking, you do want to season as you go along the different steps of the recipe. So the next, when I do the ground beef, I will season that again with salt and pepper. So each step gets seasoning, because if you don't do that, you kind of wind up with a bland dish. And if you wonder why people are like, that's okay, it's probably because you've under-seasoned. Now, I'm not saying go crazy with your salt and make it like, you know, crazy salty, but just make sure you season every element. So, little tip there. So let me stir these up with the thyme a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the onions to a bowl, and I'm going to cook the ground beef for the French onion sloppy joes in this skillet. I'm not going to wipe it out or anything because it's flavored with onions. How bad can that be? Plus these onions are going to go on top of the sloppy joes anyways. So there you go. They look great. They smell even better. So the rest of the ingredients in this recipe, I'm going to be using celery. That's what the recipe calls for. But if you don't have celery, or say your celery's in the fridge and it's past its prime, here's a good tip for you. If your celery is kind of limp in the fridge, you put it in ice water and let it sit for a few minutes, and that'll, the cold of the ice in the water will shock it and firm it up, nice and firm. So do that with your celery. Or if you don't like celery, don't use it. Or if you don't have celery, I have a few options for you. I think water chestnuts will give you a nice crunch. If you happen to have those, chop them up if they're not already chopped. I think that would be a nice substitution for the celery. Of course, it wouldn't add flavor because water chestnuts are pretty flavorless, but it would help add the crunch. Other add-ins you might want to do with this, I wrote it on my cheat sheet back there. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I feel like I'm jumping ahead. So these are just about ready, I would say. The thyme is just in there to flavor the onions. I'm going to remove it when I assemble the sloppy joes. So what I didn't do ahead of time is I was going to prepare my celery, and what I want to do is probably have about between a half a cup and 3/4 cup of the chopped celery, if you like it, and I do. I love celery. So take your celery ribs, slice them maybe 3-4 times down the center, and then from there give them just a chop. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. And these are kind of cool, of course. So there's my ground beef. I love this spatula, guys. If you don't have one like this, I urge you to invest in one. I think it's my favorite kitchen tool ever. It's actually, they call it a fish turner because it's good for fish, but I reach for it every day, at least every day in the kitchen. It's firm, but it's thin and flat, and it's like the best thing ever, especially for like deglazing pans and things like that. So like I said, I urge you, if you don't have one like this, to maybe consider getting one. This is the small one. I have a large one too, but I always reach for this small. So, my ground beef is in this skillet. This is my cast iron skillet, which I use all the time. I always drape a towel over the handle of it. I do also have like a silicone handle that goes on there for safety reasons, because man, if you grab that one time, you'll never do it again. But I like to put a towel over it just to, I don't know, I guess it was a reminder to tell you guys to always put a towel over the handle of your cast iron skillet so you don't burn yourself. I like my induction burner for this type of thing, cooking videos and whatnot, but nothing beats the good old gas stove, which I do have and I do love. This is a little bit iffy at best sometimes, but in a pinch for live videos, it's great. So my ground beef is starting to brown nicely, somewhat nicely. Yeah, that's good. So as I said before, always season your different steps. So I didn't do this yet. Salt and pepper. Now at this point, I could also do garlic, and I have before, but I'm not prepared to do that today, so no big deal. And the different add-ins I was going to talk to you about. I always use tomato paste, and that will make like a barbecue sauce. So roughly 2 tablespoons approximately. It's cooking. You don't really have to be all that precise. I mean, you can. I write recipes. I try and be precise when I write a recipe. When I'm cooking recipes, not so much. But you do what you feel comfortable with. And then all the celery I chopped. Okay. I do have a food scraper, but I forgot to bring it out. A bench scraper. Food mover. Anyways, there it goes. Give that a good stir. Get that tomato paste kind of caramelized in a way in the skillet. It'll deepen the flavor now as it hits the heat of the skillet, which is not a bad thing. And I might even add more. It looks like I might want to add a little bit more, because that's never a bad thing. If you don't have tomato paste, and a lot of times I don't, my induction turned off. Oh, but it's back. I don't know what made it turn off. Doesn't matter. Anyways, a lot of times I don't have tomato paste for whatever reason. Today I did, and I didn't even buy it for this recipe. I just happened to have it. Some ideas for you. You can use ketchup. Of course, it's not the same consistency, but it will work in a pinch. I wouldn't add a whole lot. If you're going to use ketchup, I'd probably do maybe a 1/4 cup. Salsa would work. I debated using salsa if I didn't have the tomato paste. That would work. What else would work? Canned tomatoes. That's tricky. You'd have to definitely drain them pretty decently. But work. It definitely would work. What else do I have written down? Tomato sauce, salsa. Yep, that'll do it. But I'm going to add just a pinch more tomato paste for a little bit deeper flavor and richness. About another tablespoon. And then the only other things I'm going to add, this is a pretty quick recipe. I mean, you can make the onions, the caramelized onions in advance and keep them in your refrigerator. So on a night when you are going to make these, if you're in a hurry, all you're really going to have to do is cook up the ground beef, the sloppy joe part, take the onions, the caramelized onions out of the fridge, and then when you go to assemble the sandwich, you know, heat the onions up maybe in the microwave or something just to take the chill off of them. So hopefully you can kind of see what this looks like. By now the celery's still got a little bit of a crunch to it, but it's not like too soft. I like it to have still a little bit of a bite. And then what I do is I'm going to add some brown sugar, because this will mimic barbecue sauce, a sweet barbecue sauce. And I'm going to say that's approximately 3 tablespoons packed, even though I didn't pack it. So there we go for that. And also one of my favorite ingredients to use in the kitchen is apple cider vinegar. If you don't have apple cider vinegar, you can use whatever kind of vinegar is your favorite. White vinegar, champagne vinegar, balsamic would even work. If you're going to use a balsamic, I would hold back on the brown sugar a little bit because the balsamic is going to be sweeter. Let's see what else. Oh, if you didn't want to use the brown sugar, or if you didn't have the brown sugar, maybe a little touch of molasses in there would also be good, because as you probably already know, brown sugar is granulated sugar with molasses. So you could substitute a little pinch of molasses, maybe a couple, 3 tablespoons molasses for the brown sugar. And then I'm going to add approximately, not too much, but a tablespoon-ish of the apple cider vinegar, just to give it a little bit of a bite. It will offset the fattiness of the ground beef. It will brighten up the sloppy joe mixture, just like a barbecue sauce does. Because if you've ever looked at a bottled barbecue sauce, vinegar is always one of the ingredients. How about a vinegar facial? Yeah, stand back a little bit after you add the vinegar, which I didn't do, but it cleans out the sinuses. So that looks pretty good to me. I think we're just about there. I hope you can see it. Again, if you do have any questions, please leave them for me, and I'm more than happy. This also, I'm sure you know this, because I've said it several times, and this is on my website. If you go to kudoskitchenbyrenee.com and you searched French onion sloppy joes, this recipe would be there waiting for you. So, other add-ins, yes, I was going to tell you about this. Other add-ins you could, if you wanted to up the protein on this and maybe cut back a little bit on the ground beef, not a bad idea. Oh, yeah, duh. I was going to say, if you don't want to use ground beef, or you don't have ground beef, substitute ground turkey, substitute ground chicken, ground pork, chorizo. I mean, that would be really spicy, but that would be very good. Just use what you have. And the other mix-ins, at this point, if you wanted to, how about a can or drained beans, maybe black beans, kidney beans, how about chickpeas? I mentioned the water chestnuts before would be a nice thing. You could also add in, if you wanted, at the point of adding the celery, bell peppers. Red bell pepper, green bell pepper. I don't know, what else you guys think would be a good add-in for sloppy joes. Let me know in the comments below, because I would love to hear how you make your sloppy joes. So I think that'd be awesome if you wanted to share your recipes with me. please do. I'd love to see them. But I think we're about done here. Let me check my handy dandy list. Pretty much on point. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to top a baked potato. I made the baked potato in advance. And here it is. I made it in the microwave, but I'm keeping it warm in the foil. So hopefully you can still see this. I think it took like 4 or 5 minutes. I think I overcooked it in the microwave, but that's the way it goes. And I will slice it open. Ooh, doesn't that sound good? Sloppy Joe on top of a baked potato. And then, who doesn't like a baked potato? Seriously. I mean, I know they're loaded with carbs and blah blah, but they sure are good. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And then I will still suggest salting, seasoning with salt and pepper your baked potato at this point. Okay, yum. If you wanted, you could add butter. I don't think it's necessary because I just don't. And then top it with French onion sloppy joes, which is not French onion yet, but top it with the sloppy joe mixture. Don't be stingy. Your family's gonna, I think this probably is gonna serve at least 4 people. So I think that's pretty decent. And then from there, I will top it, and you can top it with whatever kind of cheese you like, but I like it, these with Swiss cheese, and I did have Swiss cheese in my refrigerator. So top it with, ooh, Swiss cheese. I'm gonna pop this in the microwave for, I don't know, 15-20 seconds, let the cheese melt, and then be right back. That looks good. Here you go. See it? Ooh, ah. And now for the very, very, very best part is I'm going to take the thyme sprigs out and spoon. This is a big spoon, but that's okay. These French onions over the top of this potato. Oh my. Okay. Now, if you don't like onions, fine, you're going to say, ooh. But if you do, yeah, try this. You're going to really like it. And then, just because you can and you should, put on some fresh thyme over top. Strip the leaves because it's pretty. There you have it, you guys. I hope you like this recipe. Oh, before I forget and go, you could serve this on garlic bread, would be good. You know those nice long loaves of garlic bread? Spoon it all out, lay your cheese, lay your onions on, pop it in the oven. That's good. How about on top of a biscuit if you don't have buns? What about noodles? Spoon it over noodles, like egg noodles or something. If you're gonna do that, maybe add a little bit of, I'm gonna say like beef broth or, beef broth to it, beef stock, whatever, to thin, to make like a sauce, like a gravy with the ground beef, just to kind of coat the noodles a little bit better. Over rice would be excellent. I'm gonna say over stovetop stuffing if you have it. Might not be bad. What else did I have? Baked mashed or sweet potatoes would be good, I think. Sweet potatoes. If you're gonna do that, what I like to do is maybe put a little bit of smoked paprika in with the ground beef, just to kind of bump up the smokiness of the sweet potatoes, even though they're not smoky, but I like smoked paprika with my sweet potatoes. And I think I hit all my points that I'm looking at. My cheat sheet over there, you should see it. It's about this big, so I can see it with my old eyes. And I hope you're all well. I'm gonna end for today with one final look for you of my French onion sloppy Joe potato. and I hope you like it. And I hope, if anything, maybe it gives you ideas of what you can do in your own kitchen with what you have. And if you do have questions for me, I'm more than willing to help you try and figure out maybe what you can make with what you already have in your kitchen. I'm more than happy to do that. So I love you all. Thank you for being here, and I hope you have a great day. Bye. Bye.